Alrighty, welcome to my channel, SteveO the Window Cleaner. Welcome to a brand new show here, Monday Night Live Chat. I have thought about this show for a long time, and having this channel, having it grow over the past decade now has just been crazy. It's been a lot of fun, but I do know that a lot of you ask questions a lot in the comments, and there's not enough time in the world to get everything in, answer every question. So that's why I wanted to start this. I know some of you may not be here right now that are watching this, but I just wanted to kind of introduce this new live show. This is something that I think is going to help the just overall industry, help a bunch of new guys, help veterans also talk to new guys on the side chat when we're also talking. But what I really encourage is bring your questions. If you have stuff that you're just wondering about, from business to equipment, like, we're truly here to answer any questions you got. Even odd questions, we'll answer those too. So let me introduce, as you guys know him, Jersey, the man, the myth, the legend. He is going to be here every other Monday with me as well. And so we just encourage, bring your questions. We're always going to have topics as well, though. So don't just think you're coming to a show where it's like, hey, we're just waiting for your questions. What are they? We're going to have topics as well. It's winter time. It's slow. What would you do in the wintertime, Jersey, when it was slow? Because your company was in the freezing cold in the winters all the time, right?
Yeah. I was in Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, we were like, negative 50 at times with the wind chill, which sucked. But yeah, I mean, in Wisconsin, it basically shuts off at like Thanksgiving, and then there's not another house. You get like a sprinkle here and there until like March, April, like legitimately. There's times where it's like April is when I'm starting to get my actual swing back. It's crazy. You have to like plan for it. This time of year, it's really hard. If somebody hasn't planned for it, they know really quick. And then those are the people who are trying to advertise in the middle of winter. Just like, it's just, you can't do anything.
The phones just die in the winter. I mean, that's the main thing.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get those calls coming in. You don't get people really worried about cleaning the windows because they're going to get hit so hard with any kind of weather. And then what I always did in the winter was go out for storefronts. And if I talk to anybody like newer in the industry, it's always, what do I do in the winter? And it's like, well, you can make a storefront route, but you have to understand that you're probably not going to be able to make that in one winter. And that's the really hard thing about that. It's going to take a couple of years to really grow that route. And that's one thing about it that you have to know, that when doing that, it's going to take a while.
Yeah. The route thing is like the biggest key to anybody who's even new in the like industry. The biggest thing you can do is go route sell, because the other guys are cold. The other guys aren't there. They're not doing a good job. Everything looks like crap. You get to jump right in and say, hey, my name is Jersey with XYZ Window Cleaning, and I'm here to clean your windows, give you a bid. And they instantly will look at their glass and it'll look like garbage, because even if the guy cleaned it like a day or two ago with the weather and everything else, it's going to look bad.
So I'll tell you a funny story that happened recently. And I say this because of wintertime window cleaners, maybe skipping work or not showing up at a storefront. So I got fired from my first storefront just a couple weeks ago because it was a bad weather day. I do this storefront every 2 weeks. And I swear I thought I was in really good with this customer, and I missed it one time, and it was a new manager. And the manager emailed me like a few days later. He said, I have not got an invoice to the window. I said, yeah. I said, the weather was bad. I just, I'm sorry I didn't show up around every 2 weeks. Really, the windows stay pretty clean. And boom, they fired me. They said, sorry, we already found someone else. I've never had that happen ever for every 2 week job. Because I mean, sometimes things just happen,
Yeah.
Like that was one of the first jobs I've ever gotten fired from for just like missing it on a 2 week schedule on one time. And it was a place that I did with Jim for 8 years and then started doing on my own now. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it stinks.
That sucks. That's the worst ones too, is because you think sometimes that like people aren't paying attention. And then of course that's the time that they're paying attention,
Right. Exactly. I'm just going to open the live here on my computer as well here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
by the way,
What?
As you're opening it up, I'm just going to say what's up to a bunch of people. People are jumping in. So just so everybody knows too, this is like a newer platform to kind of do what we're doing the way that we're doing it. So like comments and things aren't right in front of our face. So a little delayed, but Name Brand is here, by the way. He's on chat right now. If you haven't checked him out, click him. He's got an awesome podcast, by the way. Gabriel Castro, Ivy Ultra VL. That's a fancy name. By the way, Name Brand said your backdrop looks dope.
Yes, you can see some of the screen here, but this is an awesome, folks, in window cleaning resource logo. Oh, let me just show you something here real quickly. We got some green colors, got some blue colors, got some white colors, but just something a little fun to add a little spice to the show.
Just if you guys want to see, so I got this piece of cardboard up here. It's got some stickers. That's it. It does that.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to bring a flashlight just so mine can change colors now.
Yeah, if you could just bring like a flashing red light behind your stickers and make them glow. This is me though. Like if there's one thing we're gonna learn a lot more about, it's probably you're gonna learn a lot more about both of us in this show. And one thing with me that you probably guys do not know, and you might see it in like some of my videos from the past where I had like Christmas lights, stuff like that. I talked about it in a recent video. I'm a person that I like a lot of stuff around. When I came to the convention, my keyboard on my laptop has like a bunch of LED lights in it that glow a bunch of different colors. And that's just the way that I've always been. And I love that stuff. And everybody I remember Chris looking at it and he's saying, that would make me sick.
Things like, things flashing in the screens, and I dig your keyboard.
Yeah, keyboard, everything. Everything is. I got a whole new mouse pad that has an LED. You haven't even seen that yet. Just wait for that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Is that due to your acid days? No acid. No acid.
Acid, what?
But I think, like in many of my videos, I had a lot of techno music and stuff. So, I mean, obviously there's a time in life where, things happen. So
I want to see the day that you have squeegees doing the like, with the techno music, just going with the squeegee.
Oh,
that's man. A Craig Hensel thing. What am I talking about? That should be Craig.
Shouldn't. Is it just a cutout? No, Joseph. It is actually like a whole metal sign. It is. I mean, this is painted. It's got the LEDs inside. It's full on. And like this thing, got ordered like 6 months ago. I mean, it took a long time. Yeah, it's awesome though. Awesome.
It's how the other half lives. You see, this is this is one. That's the other. He's got remote controls for his backdrop.
But I want to talk about something that I think is important for wintertime. Or we do have a question here.
Yeah.
What would you all say would be the most important factor when it comes to running a window cleaning business? Jersey.
Ooh, that is a very, very broad question. The most important factor would have to be drive, though. Like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. That's any business, though. I mean, business can suck, especially in the beginning. And if you can't be the one that like motivates you, you're not getting motivated by money. You're not getting motivated by new customers because there's just days you're not doing any work, right? You have to be motivated for that like goal to do something. I would say drive probably.
Yeah, I would say that it's more about just going out and doing it rather than overthinking it. And I think that's the biggest thing you see with any entrepreneurs that really do well is that it's more of like live and learn, and they're not thinking of all of the possible things that are going to happen. It's like, okay, stuff is going to happen. Stuff is going to go wrong, but you got to start it to learn it. And I think that's one of the biggest things I see when people fail is they're so worried about all the little things that they don't just dive right into it. I know for myself, I would say like around 5 years ago, I found myself just filling my time with like pointless things because I was trying to plan out too many things. And once I finally said, man, I just have to finally go. And this sounds so corny, like me hearing me say this, but it's so true in that just going for it and doing it really, really helps you. And you learn a lot, you fall a lot, but in the end though, it's going to be a positive, whether or not you even decide to still stay in the industry or you use it in a different industry of what you learned. That's an important thing to think about too. Yeah, you might start a window cleaning company, and maybe window cleaning is not for you, and that's what you realize. But something else comes along inside of that you say, maybe that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's like riding, like business in general is like riding a bike in the sand. Like you can see kind of where you're going or where you want to go, but you don't know really how you're going to get there. A lot of times guys will start and they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I window clean, lawn care, dog poop removal. Like, I trim trees. And then all of a sudden things start breaking, kind of coming down and breaking it down into littler pieces. And then they realize where their money is. And that's kind of where that all comes in, really.
Right. Let's see here. Joseph Biga. Best way to get clients, and on average, how long into one business's journey does one see 100K, and can you do it solo? I would say this. I definitely think you can do 100K solo. I definitely think it's hard. I don't think it's easy. You got to think about what that's adding up to in a week. But I think if your pricing is on point and you got good customers, you got a good idea of business, I do think it's possible.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It again goes back to drive. Like there's guys who are putting their all in. If you're working 8 hours a day every day, even if you don't have 8 hours of work, like you can do that. It just depends on what you're doing. I mean, sometimes people too get a little demotivated, and they're, if you're only chasing, mom and pop places, once a month, and you do what you're doing, but you're just enjoying the freedom side of it, that's cool too. But if you're going for 100K, it's some work. Your car broke down on the side of the interstate. You got to push it. It's that first part, getting it moving is really that hard part,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
By the way, a couple quick shout outs earlier on. I know we've missed this again. It's kind of new, but Elijah asks, what's up? He says, oh, I'm here. Jeremy Pummel, what's going on? Elijah said that it's negative 32 degrees in Iowa last week. Storefronts are where it's at in the winter. Negative 32, by the way. That is why I moved. It's like 50 degrees today, and I like a hoodie on because of that.
Negative 32? Is that true?
That's probably with wind chill, but that probably sucks.
Oh my
God.
It
gets so cold. This is a real true story of cold. So in Wisconsin, I had an office building. Well, it was a commercial property that was mine. I had all my parking. I could park my vehicles in there, and then a bunch of offices. And there was a rule. We had 2 bathrooms in the thing. You couldn't sit in my chair, touch my money, or make a number 2 in my bathroom. Those are the rules. Don't judge me. Those are my rules. And one day, one of my guys, whose name was Guy, comes out of the bathroom, and I hear his plunger going. And he comes out. I'm like, man, dude, it's a cardinal rule. What are you doing? He's like, no, I was breaking up the ice that was in the toilet bowl. And I was like, there's no ice. I went in there, and sure enough, it was so cold that it froze the ice in there. So when he peed on it, it didn't melt through. So he had to break it up so he could flush it.
Oh, man.
That was because we had cinder block walls with no insulation. So, yeah.
That is great. Let's see here. Charlie Bucket. Do you have a general rule for channel size and window width?
Ooh.
I would say, so this was when I had my first storefront training session many, many years ago with a 30-year veteran. He was all about 22-inch on like large panes, 18-inch, and he was all about minimal passes. I think for commercial windows, 18 inches is more than enough. I don't like going larger than 18, only because I just feel like you just start getting into so many different channel sizes, so many different rubbers, and it just becomes too many to pick from. I tell you this, get an 18, a 14, a 12, a 10, a 6, and an 8, and those pretty much will cover everything you need for French windows, commercial windows. And then, I think after that, it's just learning fanning, and you're going to be fine. Now, large dealership windows, you may want to get a larger squeegee for. I can understand that. And there's a lot of commercial guys, high-rise guys who will work with a lot of larger channels. But I think 18 is probably going to be like the most used size, I think, out there.
Yeah. That's probably the most average, common size is an 18 for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go. We had a channel like years ago. We made the world's largest squeegee channel. I think it was an uncut single piece, which was like, I want to say it was 6 feet long or something. It was just a channel that we got from the factory that they just didn't cut. And they lost it in shipping. So someone has the world's largest squeegee out there, and it's not us.
Well, that's why when you get a Sorbo eliminator, it comes in a PVC pipe. like a PVC pipe as long as the channel so it doesn't bend.
Yeah.
But I've used the 48 of that, and I mean, you can't put that anywhere. You can't put that on your belt. I mean, I understand it, I get it, but that's, to me, it's just like
it can't possibly speed anything up though, because if if take a extension pole and put it on the end of a squeegee, you're trying to deal with this big stupid thing, and then you have to buy rubber for it. So every time you have to buy rubber, it's like crazy expensive.
And you got to buy a 50-foot roll at one time.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. You have to buy 50 feet all at one time. That's the only way you get it. Now, I got a question for you, Jersey, and Elijah asked this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on every door direct mail? And that's EDDM for anybody that doesn't know what every door direct mail is.
That's a good question, because I was talking about that earlier, and people, the biggest thing that people do with EDDM is they do it wrong. And no, I'm not crapping on anybody's parade here. If you did it and you didn't have great experience, I'm sorry. That's not what I'm saying. But if you do EDDM wrong, there really is, you can really just not get an ROI. People try it once and they just send everything out at one time, and then they realize they don't get an ROI and they go, oh man, that really sucked. But EDDM works if you send the same mailing piece, the same postcard, to the same person 3 times in 3 different weeks. Boom, boom, boom. Every week they get it. And people go, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, that's just how your brain works. Think about junk mail you get. You get that same like Domino's coupon thing like all the time. And you're like, oh man, they just keep sending it. Well, by the last time, your brain just automatically is familiar with it, and it just resonates a whole different way.
Yeah, see, I've never done every door direct mail.
No?
Never have. Nope, never have. But I always, maybe Fish did it when I was at Fish, and I just don't know. I don't think they did. But what would be for your size crew, or let's say like an average crew of like 5,
Yeah.
What do you think a price on EDDM would be over, like, I know it's a big question, but over like a year, how much do you think your budget was for someone who's never done it that makes them want to do that? And maybe could you speak to like what the return was?
Yeah. Well, so the return and different cards, if you're split testing and everything, that always is different, right? You get one where you're like, this is good. You send it out and nothing happens. You're like, oh, it wasn't good. But if you split test right, I mean, you can see upwards of a 1.5% ROI, which before you understand ROI, if anybody's watching, they're confused. That means that if I send out 1,000 of them, 1.5 return are going to go. Your average ticket being $300 a piece. Now you're getting X amount for that. But that's good. I've had stuff even upwards of 3%. But I never could recoup that magic again to get that high. But if you can make something, like if you put $1,000 in and you're guaranteed to get $2,000 out, you would put $1 million in because you get $2 million back. That's like EDDM if you can get it right. You're just putting money in and getting more money back.
Right. Yeah.
But it's expensive when you're talking about like it is only like 29 cents a piece. That's like print and postage, like send out. But I mean, when you're doing 1,000, 2,500, 35, I mean, you can go up to 5,000 pieces per day in that program. It starts to kind of be expensive, if you're not getting an ROI, if you're not doing it right. And remember, if you're doing 5,000 pieces in one mailing, you're really doing 15,000 pieces because you got to send that to the same person 3 times.
That's good info. Good info.
What's better though? Let me ask you this. What's better, EDDM or flyering? Do you ever do flyering or door hanging, anything like that?
Oh my gosh. I did so much flyering in my life. I have flyered so many doors and gotten cussed out at so many doors for soliciting at doors. So, and you guys have probably heard this story. When I started cleaning windows in college, what we would do to get jobs when we had flyers and we had like a little box that you would just put the price into, we would just walk around a neighborhood and we'd be like, 150 right on the door. We wouldn't even go look around the house. We never talked to the person, nothing. We would just leave that with the price. And this is when I didn't know anything about what I was doing. And so, I mean, and 4 of us would go there for a price of 150 and be there for 2 hours. There was no money made on that job. And we just worked for a couple college guys who that's how they started their business. And that's how they got their whole entire client list, was just door hangers. I did always like not only door hangers, but I know you're talking about more about like a flyer, but what I thought was really good at Fish actually that they had that was very professional and got many, many jobs is they had a pamphlet. that you kind of opened up. I don't know if pamphlets now would be considered like old school or what. Every time I stapled one of those to an actual bid sheet, you get the job every time. I don't know if it just showed that it was more professional or what, but I mean, every single time we would just go through boxes and boxes of those, and every time we would get the job.
Yeah. You know, like I always tell, like, this sounds weird, but we're competing against Bucket Bobs. We're like competing against like people doing this for beer money. So anything you do to step out, like they probably got bids all the time, like, you know, roofing companies and everything else, but you put a little pamphlet there and they're all of a sudden you look like a company, it blows it out of the water.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I still do every time I do a home, well, I wouldn't say I do it anymore because now my schedule is so trimmed down with window cleaning that when I was full time, I always did, 5 that way and 5 the other way every time I did a home.
Yeah.
And I'd always get calls off of that. So that always worked out really well. But yeah, I've always thought the door hangers flyering is really, really good. I don't think door hangers or that kind of style works very well for storefronts. No. This past year, I had a little thing made up where it had like a good image on the front, and it was all about storefronts. And on the back, it had a bunch of info to basically, it had a shiny front to it with a good picture, but the back had all the information for inside, outside only, frequency, and who the bid was done by. I handed out probably 200 of those and got 0 callback. Oh. And I think that's the key though with storefront though, is that of actually talking to people and at least handing a card and making them at least remember you a little bit. Like even it's just like the tiniest bit, that's what works. And like I've never had that much luck off of just leaving a business card like on the frame or in the door. That I've never had. If I leave a simple business card with them, I could get a call 6 months later. But it just never worked just to leave it there like, oh, you're going to find this and I'm going to get this job. I just never had that work.
Well, routes, I mean, you're talking about competing against Bucket Bobs. That's the worst. Route is they get people all the time. I think our average at one point was 83% of our closes that we actually got on new route was from follow-up, like not initial at all. So out of everybody that says yes, which they say out of every 10 yeses or no's, you get 1 yes. Actually, for us, it was 14. So every 14 no's, we would get a yes. That was a yes in the whole process. So out of those, it was 83% that were actually on the follow-up, not even on the initial, like, hey, wow, my name's Jersey.
Right. It's insane. And speaking of all this, I wanted to get to a question that Joseph said, another question he said, because we were talking about before we came on, like in the wintertime, do you trim some of the fat off that you obtained during the last year, as far as maybe just jobs that you got and you're like, God, when I look back at this, I'm really not making much money off of it. It's really not working. I like the customer, but business-wise, I just did this for a few jobs, my company. But Joseph asked, last year was my first year focusing on residential, and I fell in love. My love is commercial, salons, restaurants, etc. I'm having a hard time walking away since it's good on slow months. Keep them? Yes, keep them. I would say keep them. And I would say if you really like residential, find an employee who can run the route for you.
Yeah.
Start doing that. That's how you branch yourself off of route. Now someone's making you money on route. You're doing what you love with residential. You start going to residential. You get another guy to help you on residential. He starts doing screens while you start doing windows, and snowball. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, route's really nice to fill a spot, but you're going to lose money when you start a route just because you're driving all the way across town for a $10 job. Like you can't make money. But the frequency, I'm from Wisconsin where, we didn't do houses for a long time. So you can get enough of those route jobs and build a nice, healthy route. The closer you can make that route, the more money you make on it. All of a sudden we could do $65 a man hour in route alone just because our routes were so tight at a certain point. There were other jobs on that same route that was like the last batch of the day, and there was 2 jobs on the other side in the next town over. And it was like they drove all the way over there for $25. But that just means I have to work harder to build the route over there,
Yeah. And I think something that comes up too, if someone doesn't understand route, it's called a route for a reason. And that's what you have to do to make it efficient, is it has to be a route. It has to be a good, just like either you're doing like a whole shopping center or you're driving like a couple minutes to the next job, couple minutes to the next job. If you find yourself driving 15, 30 minutes to the next shop. That's not a route. That's just going around cleaning windows for pretty much freaking pennies. And it happens. And and it's going to happen. But if you find yourself doing that and you're at this like 6-12 month mark and you're still doing that, it's time to kind of like exactly what I'm saying, trim down the fat. Like, okay, if I'm going to, all the way out east and then coming all the way back west, what is the point to all of this? Now concentrate on like one area. And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, if you have a spot where you, like you said, you're driving to do one job, that means you need to sell that area. Like that should be your job, because every job that you add, even when your route is nice and tight, it makes every other job you do more because you're in the area even longer. So, but I do have an interesting question for you. I'm just reading these as we're talking from Victor Gurul. I'm screwing up your name, man. Sorry. But he says, I'm a solo weekend warrior, and he said, couldn't afford to advertise. What if you can't afford to advertise? First off, even as a weekend warrior, you should still be doing $60 to $100 a man hour, which there's got to be a little bit in there to advertise. But what would you do that's like a free or close to free advertising or best bang for your buck? Or say he is a weekend warrior and he only has a little bit of money to work with. What would you do?
The thing that I did this past year that I talked to everybody about is the Google local service ads. The Google local service ads are, as far as when I started doing it, are a lot less money than what paying for like Google ads. And you can really control that. If you don't have the budget for the time, you can turn it off. Once you get accepted into it and get approved, you can do it for as long as you would like. As soon as that stuff gets filled up, turn it off. Google will take you off of the main spot so that people aren't contacting you anymore. But that is a great way. And to me, it was one of the best ways. I have never done Facebook ads, so I can't speak to that. I personally did not like Thumbtack. Thumbtack, to me, they immediately charged you once someone reached out to you, which is the really good thing about Google AdWords is it was just a lot lower cost. And you could also say if someone reached out to you and it was by accident, you could, I don't know what the word was, but open up a case with them and basically say, hey, this person contacted me wrong. And they record every conversation. They record all the text, everything, which is great. So they always know what you're doing. But at the same time, that helps you in that it keeps that budget very low. Yeah. That's what I would suggest doing. And it's not hard to go on even like Vistaprint and make up some door hangers or flyers. I mean, you can get super cheap on there. And at least every time you do a job, you're doing what I talked about earlier, 5 rounds, where you're just doing 5 up, 5 back. Maybe you do 10 up, 10 back. Maybe after you get done, you do the whole entire neighborhood. Yeah. Those are very cheap. And you can get a lot of door hangers for like $250. Yeah. And now if you're thinking maybe that isn't marketing, it is marketing in that you're marketing the business. But if you're thinking more of online and expensive, you don't have to think expensive. That's how I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you paying for your Google local ads? A ballpark.
So, yeah, I was paying $11 average per an actual good lead. And from that, I would usually get about 50% return as far as getting them. And the tickets were always really good because I think that green check mark helps the customer feel like whatever. It helps them more security. Yeah. And when you do, it's almost like an extra insurance. Now, I don't know anybody that's gone through this with Google local service ads, but if something goes wrong and the customer says, okay, I don't like the job you did, I want my money back. But you say, nope, I did the job right, I'm not paying you. Now you're going to lose your local service ads green check mark, but Google is going to say, okay, we're sorry, Jane Doe, we're going to pay you the amount and that's it. Wow. So it does provide a little extra insurance for the customer as well. Yeah. And so, and I really noticed this year a lot, like Jobber started mentioning local service ads. Jobber does a lot of good articles based on like what are the new marketing things that are happening inside every year. And it's not just from window cleaning. They take polls from all the different service industries and a lot of bigger industries than us. And that was a major thing that people were using this year. And I tell you, back in March and April, when I started using that, it was huge. I just got bombarded by people. And I started noticing a lot of people doing it. And that's what I've always suggested to people. Now it could be, have you talked to somebody about this and it was less or more than $11 or?
I've never talked to anybody about that. I mean, you're the one that's kind of the guru on those ones. That was not really around when I was doing advertising, and I haven't talked to too many people. But when you say it, so $11, you get 50%, you're actually paying $22. That's really not bad. Like, people are like, what? Okay. If I give you a job, I'm like, hey, my aunt needs her house washed or her windows cleaned. It's a $300 job. Give me $20 and you can do it. I'd be like, yeah, of course. Like, that's what you're saying. That $22 is translating into a sale. 100% worth it. It really just, it does make sense when advertising. People look at how much it costs, but they don't look at what it makes, And
then almost, every time in the spring or summer or fall, every time you're doing a home, someone always comes out and asks you for a card.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is that you're not, and your car is there. That's why I think it's important, have your card labeled, have it clean. I've gotten comments on that. Just all those things start adding up. So what I was able to do, though, in a month and a half time, is I was able to turn it off, and I had my schedule just completely full.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, I just read the comment from the window guys, Mr. Beard himself. Will Jersey's facial hair ever fill in? I can't be Duck Dynasty, man.
Hey, don't feel bad. I always grow this crap, and it doesn't look very good. But it's just.
I'm trying, man. I look up to him. He's on a pedestal of beardness,
Yes, he is, Mr. Nichols.
Yeah. Nichols. I did actually have an interesting thing, and I'm trying to go back and find it. By the way, if you guys are asking questions, just ask them again. They're coming by so fast that we kind of miss them. Ask them again. We'll definitely try to get to them. But somebody was asking, do you ever charge hourly?
Yeah. Yep. I charge hourly for hard water removal. If it's just like a hard removal project, I'll do anywhere from $85 to $100 an hour, depending on how I feel that day. And then construction cleans, if it's just really bad, that's when I'll say, if I look at it and I say, I can't even comfortably say that times in it by 2 or times in it by 3 is going to make me the amount of money I want to make. And most of the time that I say hourly, they say no. So if you really want to get out of a job, maybe hourly is the way to go. But
price yourself out.
Yes. But I think more hourly than anything about charging it is a lot of people bid sometimes based on what they think their hourly would be.
Yeah. They just don't state it. As soon as you say I'm charging by the hour, people think that you're going to milk the clock. That's why they say no. But really, we all look at a job, no matter if you're counting by pane or you're counting by hour, you go, okay, well, of course, this job is going to take me about an hour. That's how long it's going to cost me. How many windows can I do in an hour? I mean, it all comes down to an hour. You know what you want to make an hour. That's really what everybody's charging anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then solar panels, though, I do $150 an hour. Solar panels, I do $150 an hour because of the risk. I would say same with gutter cleaning. I think people should make their minimum pretty high. Luke make his minimum $199. I do think it's smart when you're on a roof and it seems like easy work when you're up there. A lot of people understand that, but some people don't. I didn't understand that in my young career, and I would think, get up here, take me 30 minutes, I'll charge you $40. I was stupid. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand the appreciation of yourself. So that's one thing too.
Mine is I hate doing things. I'll charge more. So like I'm not, let's be honest, I haven't been in the field in a long time. When I had my business, I was out of the field, but like, I don't want my guys to get like gunked up with gutters. So our gutter price was always very high. And if we closed 50%, I still was like, well, could have went a little higher, I guess. Storm windows. We had a ton of storm windows. We charged just out the, what, and people still did it because they didn't want to do it. But at least then when you're doing something you don't want to do and you're making the money that you want, at least it makes it a little less sarcastic.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one from Chris Simmons. He says, year-end numbers. What percentage is healthy for overhead, marketing, profit, payroll, taxes? Let's talk percentages real quick. What's a good, like, break it down in kind of percentages and where you're throwing your dough?
Gosh, that's hard. That's a hard question to answer for me because when Jim and I worked together for so long, we really didn't do much marketing.
Wow.
Because when I came into the company, it was so ingrained in we just had a customer base. So we did no marketing ever.
Wow.
And we just had a few but he had the business since 99, so stuff that we picked up was just over time. So I don't think I'd be the best person to answer that. I'll be honest.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as like reinvesting a percentage towards marketing, those numbers I would look at close to 10% of net. 10% net is what we would throw back into profits or back into advertising. That would all depend on kind of what kind of year we had. But I would put as much as possible back into advertising. If you can get a strong advertising game, you're going to get the money back anyway. So why not kind of reinvest it in there, you know?
Right.
Overhead's tough. All those other ones, it's just kind of, because if you're taking from one side and not the other, you're still going to have that, you know? I mean, I had a facility with offices and heat and electric and its own internet and dumpsters and things. So our overhead was more for the facility, but because we did the pressure washing and other things we did, it made sense. So everybody's overhead's a little different. It's a tricky question, but that's a good one.
It's a very good one. It's a very good one that you don't hear often. You don't hear people ask about it often. They're more just caring about like, how much am I going to make? Can I make 100K? When it's always about that bottom line. And that's a lot of the time what you do not hear is you don't hear what the bottom line is. And it, you know, there can be a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's for sure.
Gross is the number for everybody else. Net is your number. Like gross is, you never hear anybody like, oh, I made this much in profit. Like people are like, oh, I did 100,000 last year. I did 1 million. That's the gross. Like after that's all done, you made like 12,000 in profit. Like nobody wants to talk about that though, you know?
I had a meeting with my taxes person today. And that's always every year. It's just a gut punch. And you try and you ask them so many questions. You say, is there a possibility? No, you can't do that. What can I do? No, you can't do that. And every year around this time, it's like, man.
I reinvented myself this last year in taxes. Reinvented myself. I'm putting so much, a gross number of money into 401ks and everything else. And the lady's like, oh, great. Well, I think we got it down to about 20K this year in taxes, y'all. I'm like,
so
how?
And this is something, and it's dumb that it's new to me, but a SEP IRA. You ever heard of this for small businesses?
A SEP?
SEP, S-E-P, IRA. It's for small businesses. So any of us could do that. Any small business owner can do it. One of the things that's kind of cool about it, you can put up to $50,000 if you want a SEP IRA, which is very interesting. You look at like a trad IRA, which is, I think, limited to what, like around 6 per year that you can do. And so just a side note, but something I learned today.
Go 401k. The numbers are even higher. 401ks are actually, 401ks are actually percentage of, I'm not a tax guy. What was he telling me? Percentages of gross or something. You have to still earn a profit after what you distribute, but you could technically put like 90% of your gross profits into a 401k. Because the way that it's structured is like your company matches for you. If you're an S corporation, you're technically an employee of your. I hate taxes.
Now, here's a question for all of you watching, and I'd like to know, how many of you use a CPA? Like, how many of you do your own taxes, or how many of you do CPA? And are all of you doing quarter estimate taxes? Like, what are you doing there? Because this is a very important time to talk about this, because I think that's probably like, and you mentioned this in a lot of your podcasts too, of when the first time you kind of taxes happened for your business, and it was like a shock. To me, it was a shock when I first became an owner. I was like, what are you talking about? I had to pay the taxes last year, and I got to start paying the taxes of this year. So I'm basically just going to cut even, like, So that's a good thing to always think about too and plan for.
When's tax time? April. We're coming out of winter. Like every year I screwed myself, and then it would be like April, and they'd be like, oh, you owe this much. And I'm like, man, I just got out of winter. I don't have the money for that. Cry. I hate taxes. Getting a CPA and just being like, you know, having somebody else handle that now is absolutely amazing. Just to have the pressure off your shoulders. It still sucks, but it doesn't suck because you're worried. It just sucks because you still got to write checks, you know?
Yep, exactly. And it's not going to anything helpful. Let's see here. Some more. Have you seen any more good questions?
Yes, a couple quick things. Peter Cruz, need to be an S Corp. Absolutely, Peter Cruz for sure. He said, where are we at? Desired Effects Cleaning LLC says we do quarterly taxes. Income tax is a sneaky pest. Absolutely. Elijah, who's been here the whole show, said CPA and quarterlies. Yes. Elijah's smart SOB he is. Chris Simmons said he uses a CPA $450 to use one Profit First book is a cool system for making profit. Have you read the Profit First, by the way?
I have not.
It's actually pretty good. It's actually shockingly, like, there's a lot of stuff that kind of shocks you when you're looking at it, like, why did I not think of this? This is like ridiculously simple stuff. By the way, what's up to James? He said it a couple times now. What's up? Just want to say hi.
So let's see here. Got any squeegeeing tips for a beginner? I have the squeegee hop a lot, or it will have one of the side comes up and leave watermarks. That is from What If, Bro. Oh, let's see here. Got any squeegee tips for a beginner? I think the biggest thing that newbies do is that they hold the squeegee so tight.
Yeah.
You're like white knuckled on that handle, and you're trying to move it around, and you're trying to, whenever you catch a little bit of like a grab on the glass, you force it through. Best thing to do when you're newbie, put a bunch of soap in your water. Make it soapy. Make it easy for you to move, and just start with a small channel and work your way up on fanning while you learn everything. And that will do you a lot of good in the long run. And keep it simple. And let's see, what else? I mean, I have tons of videos on technique and stuff like that, but really the true thing about it is practice, practice, practice. Yeah. And that's all you can do.
When you watch videos like you, not to like toot your horn, but like when you watch videos like you've been doing it so long, and the camera angles are right, and the technique is right, and the solution is right, and everything comes out and it looks so sexy. Like it just looks like it's supposed to look. And then people come in, people come in and they look and they go, well, what am I doing wrong? I can't do what SteveO does. And it's like, well, SteveO's done a lot of squeegeeing to get to that point. You know, you got to do it a certain time to kind of get that. And when your wrist starts hurting, that means you're on the road to the right thing. But you know what I did when I would train people? I would put my finger in the bottom of the squeegee. I was trying to show you so it didn't look so creepy, but put my finger in the bottom of the squeegee, and I would squeegee the window with my finger in the bottom and go, look at, you literally don't have to put pressure on it. It's the little corner of rubber that actually removes the water.
Right. Exactly. And that's a huge thing. And that's a good point to put out there, is that's the amount of force that it takes. Like if you see me in probably 6 years ago, I'm actually a lot more stronghold on my channel. And I'd actually have days where my hand would just get so tight and then just tense up and release. Like I couldn't even do anything about it. And so over the years, I think any veteran can talk about this, you almost just are like these two. And these two are just kind of working the handle, and that's it. Swivel squeegees, I think, help a lot. As much as you can take out pulling straight pulls actually does help quite a bit. Just anything like that. And I think one other thing you were asking about, though, is sides come up and leave watermarks. Now, if you're talking about the watermarks as in like a line, yes, that's something you're probably always going to get. There are some channels out there that you can buy that help eliminate that. But overall, that's something that you should probably just get used to and just get used to detailing. It's going to just be a good thing to just know and just plan on doing.
A lot of people don't know either that the rubber, when you get a channel or you put a new rubber in your channel, you need to trim the rubber. You have like too much overlap. You have about 1/4 inch on each side, and that's just too much. So that there's no pressure behind it. So you'll have wider watermarks if you trim your rubber closer. So there's still rubber just on the edge, but like a hair past your brass clip, you'll actually get a better, and you'll have less things to detail with. By the way, Power Crew's now asked this twice, but he says, how much to charge for Christmas paint removal?
That's hourly. That's $85 to $100 an hour. That's what I do. Then again, though, I just had a guy, I'm gonna put your name out there, Brett. Brett is a great customer of mine. And I told him this. His quote came out for a storefront of like $550, and some bucket Bob came by and said, "I'll do it for $50." So just know that. And a quick tip: when you're doing Christmas paint removal, get a painter's cloth or something, or a tarp. Put it below the window as you do it, and it will save you so much time in just collecting that paint. The customer will be happy. You'll be happy, and that's what I suggest. But just do hourly. You're going to be happier to do hourly, and test the paint before you say, yeah, I'm going to do the job. I once scratched a whole IHOP about 10 years ago, and it was all due to that the paint they used was wrong, and I had to use a scraper, and yeah, so that happened.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, if you charge $500 for paint removal and you find some guy off the street that'll do it for $50, tell him you'll pay him $60 to do it for you, and then you just clean up all the mess around it.
But that's what I would do for anything like odd like that. That's what I do. And but I would say this though, is if it's like a really good customer and you do their store all year, people like that, I wouldn't charge them that. I would just say, hey, I'll double the price for today. But customers that are always doing it, I don't say to that. That would be like a one-time thing. I don't know if you agree with that, but I would do stuff like that quite a bit.
I've done a lot of, we have like little, we call them West Racine's, like West towns, but where all the buildings are all connected, kind of like a row of commercial whatevers. And they just all did this big Christmas display. It was super cool. But what we would do is we would actually do any windows that had Christmas paint on it, we would not clean. And the Christmas paint's on there for a good month and a half. We wouldn't clean it, but we would still charge them the same amount, like we were cleaning it. But then, and when it came time to remove it, we would remove it, and we've already been paid, 3, 4, 5, 6 times already for that window. We never cleaned it, so you kind of get that money afterwards, and then it doesn't change the price, and it doesn't, freak them out. But don't ever step over dollars to make pennies either. Like, if this job's going to take you 10 times longer than normal, you need to be getting paid 10 times as much. I mean, it's just common sense there.
Right. Let's see. I saw one other question up here. Ooh, a lot of questions.
How about Darth Ellum? Did you see that one?
Oh, go ahead, though.
It's when we raise prices each year, do we call the customer and let them know ahead of time, ahead of the clean, or do you just inform them after honoring cleaning price and then just let them know the next time you clean that there's going to be a difference?
I would always let them know. I would always give them a 30-day notice. That's just, I think that's right to do. I have been places where the invoice is just risen. I haven't seen a lot of flack about it, but I do think it's really good to say, hey, this cleaning was at this price, just let you know in 30 days. Or as of January 1st, that's a great time to raise prices with the new year. I'm raising your price by this percentage or by this amount. I think that a 30-day warning is a very good thing to do, and I think that just builds trust between you and your customer. Yeah,
I always, especially in houses, every year, the first time they're booking for that calendar year, I'd always say, oh, just so you know, too, this is your first time cleaning in the year 2022. Just to let you know, we had that 6% price increase this year. It's just 1% above inflation, whatever inflation is for that year. Again, back when it used to be 2.5%, we'd be at 3.5%. And I just say it's a percentage above inflation, let them know, and think, oh gosh, yeah, that's fine. Because the other thing is, if you're not raising prices, people hate this topic. But if you're not raising prices, you're making less money every year. Because if you did a job for $10 and now the dollar is worth 2.5% less, or in this case, 6% less, and you're doing the job this year for $10, you're making 6% less than you did last year. Your dollar's just not worth as much. You have to at least keep up with that. That's why milk goes up and meat goes up and every price goes up for stuff eventually.
And we've seen just in like the past 2 years, probably our largest increases in long time. So why shouldn't our prices increase too? And that's just the truth of it. Peter Cruz, what are your guys' favorite add-on services? Gutters, pressure wash, etc. I would have to say my favorite is solar panel cleaning with having a water-fed pole. I do gutters. I don't love gutter cleaning, but I don't mind doing it. But solar panel cleaning to me, once having a water-fed pole, is easy money and such an easy thing to add on to the bid when you're already doing the bid for the windows. That is my favorite add-on. I personally haven't really gotten to pressure washing.
I like all of the add-ons. I don't ever want to be a jack of all trades, but like if you don't offer pressure washing and you offer window cleaning and you call somebody, they go, okay, well, I want the window price, but let me call another company. I got to schedule them to do the house washing first. Well, then they're going to call somebody who does pressure washing and window cleaning, and then you lose the job. So you have to be in your wheelhouse, but yet I really like the add-ons. Pressure washing, if you're a window cleaner, do pressure washing. That's my number one vote.
Yeah.
I would say. Name brand just said roof washing. Yeah, that's like cheating. Roof cleaning is always going to be the highest. I mean, we were averaging $258 an hour, a man hour for roof cleaning. There was the highest paid job I ever did was I got $780 an hour, and it was a roof.
Wow. Wow.
But I did spend about $40 in chemical.
Oh, okay.
It's a big roof.
Really, yep. Wow. That's great. I won't mention the guy's name, but I saw for the first time the drone roof wash machine in action. And I have to say, I was pretty impressed.
We almost sold those at windowcleaner.com. We got into the pro, like accepted. We were going to go through go look at the stuff. When we were looking at it, it was like, dude, they're like 20 G's. I mean, it's a cool concept, but 20 G's, man.
And you're going to have some customer service on a product like that. There's going to be some questions. There's going to be an accident. There's going to be a good warranty on something like that.
you're just flying a drone shooting lava, basically, at that point. And then how do you know?
Everywhere.
I suck at drones. Mine would be going out of that, spraying me and the people in the crowd and the bushes. And
I think that I'm finally going to get a drone again. Ooh. I'm going to get that 253 gram or 252 gram DJI that's legal for everywhere.
Is that like the throwable one?
You can, well, I don't know if you could. I wouldn't throw it. It's a little too expensive to throw, but
I heard there was one now that like to turn it on, like to make it go, you just throw it in the air and it just goes.
Oh, I'm sure. There, you can land them on your hand, and it was a lot of fun. But when I used to record with one, I remember I was at a job and I had it like behind me going, and I was like in a residential neighborhood looking around. It's pretty loud. I'm like, this is like the worst idea I've ever had in my whole entire life. Like if this customer came out, how in the heck? Like, what would I explain? Like, like to be honest with you, sometimes like filming and doing stuff like that is so nerve-wracking because it's just like you're trying to get stuff done, then you have stuff going on like that. And that's why I took away the drone pretty quick because I was like, this is a bad idea. I had a customer come out one time and Jim and I were taking shots of solar panel cleaning. The customer's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'll get some like aerial shots of your home. You ever wanted some of those? I'll email them to you. He's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And that's how I just turned it around super, super quick on him. But still, I got way off on there.
I would almost pay to see you have to explain to a customer that you have a YouTube channel where people watch you clean windows. They'd be like, you are completely full of crap. What's the drone doing? Really? What is it really doing?
I had a customer the other day in a salon I do. And she said to me while I was cleaning the window, she's watching me, and she said, and we get along really, really well. She's like, you should really start a YouTube channel. And I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, should I tell her? I told her. That's what I was like. I got TikTok, I got Instagram, I got YouTube, check out all this stuff. But she's really cool and fun. And but yeah, it's weird.
Did you say I'm famous AF?
No.
Nah.
I'm a window cleaner. Yeah. Let's see here.
There's a good.
Yeah. Let's see, I saw a good question.
Read the Peter Cruz one. There's a good one. Peter Cruz said, I'm sorry, not Peter Cruz. Victor said, what's your favorite tool? Just like all around, what's your favorite tool?
Oh, man.
See,
my squeegee. The squeegee, like that's the sleeve and the squeegee. That to me,
which one though? Which tool of all tools are you like? There can't be anything better than this right here.
I love my Ettore brass with my Mormon 2.0 handle and Unger Green rubber. It's all a combination of one. Some people don't like it, but to me, that has been the number one thing that I have given to other people and that they've stuck with the most. I have had some people call me though and absolutely hate it, and that's totally understandable. That's just what they like. But that has to be my number one. Now, Jersey, I know you clean many, many windows. So what's your favorite?
Just to touch on what you said, so let me get this right. You like a Mormon handle with an Ettore channel and an Unger rubber.
Yep.
So
everything. I'm very nice. I try all the brands. I include them all in on my belt. Yeah. I'm like one brand only. I'll do it all.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're an equal opportunity user is what you are.
Yeah, I'm balanced.
I like that. For me, I like the Ninja stuff. The Ninja with the Ettore, again, switching brands, but that like Ninja Ettore Super Channel combo is just good. It's just good. Yeah. It's just a good feel, good in your hand. I It's one of those things when you use it, it's like, I like that. I just like that.
So this comes up all the time, and I think I talk about this all the time, but and I don't want to put this in the first episode of this, but I'm going to do it because people have been asking about it a lot. Thoughts about Mormon Channels. So I've come up with a very good answer in the past few months. My problem with the Mormon Liquidator is that it's an expensive channel to run for such an easy thing. And that it shreds your rubbers quick. And if anything, I get the most complaints about it. But it's probably the most popular squeegee channel on the market because of how different it is. But if you are a brand new person to window cleaning, give it a try. You may not know how much you may like it. And that's what I say. If it's brand new, I started on Ettore Brass. So that's why I think for me, it works out nice. If someone started on like Sorbo, they may really like Sorbo. Same Unger, Poolex, whatever. If you haven't done anything yet, try Mormon Channel. You may really, really like it. Now, some people that use it and love it, yes, it cuts down on detailing. I just don't personally like it because I do think that I'm a little bit heavier on the channel, so I get a lot of pressure at the ends and it digs into the glass, and sometimes the actual plastic will leave. I've seen it leave arcs, not arcs from the squeegee or a streak, but actual arc, like the way with you're a kid in the gym and your shoe kind of hits the ground and leaves like a black mark. I've seen those kind of marks from the old time of liquidators when like they first came out. But to me, I'm not a fan of it.
Just so you know, before you find out, you were frozen there that whole talk, but you're back. You're back. So
Good.
Just in case people. Man. Yeah, you know, if you're not modding stuff, the like combination. So I'm opposite. People ask that all the time. They want to know like the SteveO Liquidator version, the accelerator, the SteveOnator, if you will. That one was basically the combo all the time. And I like the Liquidator channel in there because of those edges being so drastic and tight that when you come back around, I mean, you can literally do a window and not detail anything. So for me, like switching that channel over, it kind of like takes away part of that like awesomeness to the channel, but it's personal preference, really. It's just what people like, you know?
Yes, it is all personal preference. If you like something, don't change it. It's window cleaning. It's simple. And really what I would tell you is try to like move along from the tools as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris Simmons has a question for you. I'll stay out of it. He said, how do you handle scheduling during busy season when bad weather or a customer makes you reschedule and you're already booked up?
Oh, I simply explain, even in bad weather, unless it is a blizzard or a dang hurricane, I say, listen, I have you on this day. If the windows get hit super, super hard after, I will come back when I have more time and do it again, but this is not going to affect your windows.
Yeah.
If I can get it done, I'm going to get it done. That's the thing with weather. If they call to reschedule and it's in busy season, well, sorry, I don't know when I'm able to fit you on the schedule. You can either go when you're going to go. That I feel like the more of what that is just being confident. And I'm just totally freezing here. Is just being confident with your customer. Your schedule is your schedule. They don't know your schedule. So you have to make them aware of the schedule. And that's the biggest thing. If they don't know, they don't know. If you explain it to them, I think they should understand. And if they don't understand, I think that's a good time to say, okay, maybe this customer is not a good fit for my company.
Yeah, you're the pro. They came to you because you're the pro. When you say something, they're going to believe it. Also, that 100% satisfaction guarantee, if you have that 7-day rain guarantee in place, that helps with scheduling too. Like people are scared of that. But if you got rain or you have snow or you have big storms come in and just say, hey, if that storm or weather dirties those windows within 7 days, I'll come back and make them look beautiful for you.
Yeah.
Make people feel comfortable.
And it's rare. I find it super rare that they actually do ever call and say, hey, can you come back and clean the windows? And I'll say that so many times. I say the same thing with water-fed pole. If someone's ever questioned with water-fed pole and it's a customer who hasn't had that done before, I always say to them, hey, if any window is not up to T and you don't like the way it looks, just call me. Yeah. I'm always around the area. I will come by and fix it. You know, like this is my product. I want to make sure you're happy. And never had a call back for that either.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is people buy when they're comfortable. Like in any transaction, if you go somewhere and you're getting swindled and you feel like, oh, this guy, you're not going to be like, okay, let's do it. You're going to be like, no, I'm out. Like, cause you're not comfortable. You make people feel comfortable and say, hey, I hear your problem that you're worried about the rain or the snow dirtying the windows. Here's a guarantee. I promise they won't. And if they do, hold me to it. Call me, let me know, and I'll come back to it. And all they want is just the guarantee that that's there if something's bad. But they'll even get it and look at it and be like, oh, that's not bad enough for me to call Steve back. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he asked another question. He said that, do you leave a day open for unplanned work or work a weekend sometimes?
Gosh, that's the thing I'm saying. It's hard about the busy season is that, what time do you have to fill in? Like, you're usually filling in Saturdays. I don't like to work Sundays. If I had to work Sunday, I would, but I would really try to just say to the customer in the situation that it's not the customer's fault. It's not your fault. You just say to them, hey, I'll get you on the schedule as soon as possible. If you're willing to give up your Sunday, or your employees are willing to give you up your Sunday, that's up to you. It's simply up to you. It's simply up to the customer. I personally would not do it. Some things are an act of God, as I would say it. Some things are totally out of our control. And sometimes you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. And what I see sometimes is a lot of people become a prisoner in their own business of just trying to make every single person happy. And I see it a lot. I see a lot of successful people do it. Some people like it. Some people don't, as far as that goes. But you have to know when the right time is to say, like, this, there's nothing I can do here other than what has been presented.
Yep. My magic number is 3. I worked 3 Saturdays in 16 years. I didn't work weekends. I just wouldn't work weekends. Like, we had a couple really kind of screwy things happen to make that happen, but I just didn't work on the weekends. It just was my thing. And again, there is no wrong way for anybody to run their business. It's just for me. That's how it was.
Yeah. It just, we would even have times with, I just keep looking at my frozen self over here.
There's a delay.
Oh, okay. All right. Good.
There's a delay. By the way, Aunt Sarah said, is SteveO still running dial-up?
I saw that. I was about to answer
Listen. No. He spent all his money on a fancy color-changing sign. He could get better internet if he had a cardboard background, but he doesn't.
Dang Comcast, man. Dang Comcast. But yeah, we were going to keep to these shows to like an hour. We're right at about an hour. And we kind of want to keep it there so we don't make this like too crazy. Yeah. Man, freaking internet. But I will get this internet fixed, and hopefully next time it'll be better. But hopefully you guys got to hear everything. That's the most important part. And we'll be here every other Monday. We'll always be on here. Always have your questions ready. We'll try as much to like bring other questions into it, but we want to make it a live show, which I think we've done a good job of. And over time, we will have guests. We'll have people on, and that will come in time, and we'll talk about a little bit of sponsors next time. But I just wanted to kind of just get this started, and I think it's going to be really great for everybody.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're watching right now, we have over 60 people in here. Thumbs up the video. It always helps SteveO's channel. Make sure you're subscribed, because a lot of you aren't. I don't know why you're not, but you need to be subscribed to SteveO.
Yes, please. If you like it, like, subscribe, share it if you would like. I think these will also be good that if you have like a YouTube Premium or something, we're not going to put these on to like what is the stuff that you put it on your podcast on?
RSS
iTunes
feeds, but yeah, anywhere audio,
all that stuff. I'm not that into that stuff, but you can always just sit this on and listen to it at work or something like that. I think it'd be good. And we'll be back in 2 Mondays from now, and we'll see you guys then. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for hanging out. There's so many people here. This is amazing. Actually, it's going to be a lot of fun.
This will be great. All righty, guys. Have a great night.